There's a nice house on Main Street in Brampton, Ontario, not far from Brampton City Hall. From the outside, it's not all that exceptional. Inside, however, well, that's a different story. As well, this house has a very interesting real estate transaction sales history. In fact, some aspects regarding the various transactions just don't seem to add up. Other things associated with this house seem downright suspicious in nature. Oh, did I forget to mention that the house once belonged to the current mayor of Brampton? That would be Patrick Brown. Yes, that same infamous individual who is never far removed from shenanigans and scandal. He who bears the nickname, the Sneaky One. In any event, our tale begins some 5 years ago when this particular Main Street property was purchased by the Capel family for just over $850,000 in January 2017. The patriarch of the family, Dave Capel, he runs an insurance and financial services company in Brampton, and he is allegedly a very good friend of Patrick Brown. Now, after owning the house for some 2.5 years, the Capel family sold the property on June 27th, 2019. The buyers were Patrick Brown and his wife, Genevieve Gualtieri, and the price was $1.272 million. However, the actual closing date wasn't until some 6 months later, which is very interesting. As well, a source who is quite familiar with the recent history of this home informed Rebel News that during that 6-month period, approximately $750,000 in upgrades was completed to the interior of this house. I'll tell you, judging by a listing video that shows the home's interior, it looks downright palatial. Here, check it out.
This home has over 4,200 square feet of finished living space. It has 4+1 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, and an additional 400 square feet carriage house that can be used as a gym, studio, or even a home office.
Now, I've got to admit, that is one gorgeous interior. Everything from the pantry to the $15,000 refrigerator, it's all custom stuff. The sheer opulence is enough to make Martha Stewart blush. Indeed, it is fascinating to see what a reno job costing $750,000 will do to a home's interior. But Brown and his wife consider themselves to be the Cal and Khaleesi of Brampton, so it is only fitting that such Peel region royalty lounge in such a palatial estate. But the thing is, Patrick Brown and his wife only lived there for a very short period of time. That's because 2 months ago, June 16th to be exact, his worship sold the house for $2.225 million. And interestingly, it was sold to a numbered company, namely 2795224 Ontario Limited. Please note that the selling price in June compared to just 3 years ago was almost double. That was certainly not due to a GTA real estate market that is currently in decline. Rather, this significant markup was surely due to the 6 figures worth of renovations that went into those interior upgrades. But the question arises, who exactly paid for those upgrades? Well, knock me down with a feather. Our source tells us that it was none other than the Capel family. Yes, the former owners of the home. But why would they do that? Why would the Capel sink some $750,000 into a home that they were vacating? Now, here's where things get really interesting, folks. Allegedly, in appreciation of paying for those awesome upgrades, the Capels received the Personal Protective Equipment, PPE, contract for the city of Brampton. That contract is said to be worth about $1 million, which, of course, more than pays for those renovations. And we've been told, allegedly, a $1 million check was sent to a numbered company to a post office box located in Ottawa? Does that seem weird to you? Why the secrecy? Is this how you'd expect any municipality to do business? Sending a 7-figure check to a numbered company based in another city? Oh, and the contract was untendered too. By the way, if you're experiencing a feeling of deja vu right now regarding Patrick Brown and a fishy real estate transaction, little wonder. That's because Brown was involved in similar shenanigans back in 2017 when he was the leader of the Progressive Conservative Party of Ontario. This time, the house was a $2.3 million waterfront property in Brown's then home riding of Simcoe North. Rumors abounded as to how he came up with the down payment of $375,000. Now, at first, Brown said he amassed the funds by cashing in his Aeroplan miles and selling his stake in a pub in Barrie that he co-owned called Hooligans. No, seriously, folks, Hooligans. But Brown being Brown, he would later change the story, saying that it was his family that loaned him the dough. But that wasn't true either, because it turns out that Brown received a loan of $375,000 from Jazz Johal, the very same Jazz Johal who was acclaimed as the PC candidate for Brampton North in November 2016 and was allegedly promised the position of Minister of Sport should the Brown PCs form government in June 2018. But it was a moot point because a funny thing happened on the way to Election Day in 2018, which is to say the PC party in January of that year staged a palace coup in which Brown was forced to walk the plank. Check out the video.
Let's just look at
Ladies and gentlemen, a couple hours ago, I learned about troubling allegations about my conduct and character, and I'm here tonight to address them. First, I want to say these allegations are false, categorically untrue, every one of them. I will defend myself as hard as I can with all means at my disposal. It's never okay for anyone to feel they've been a victim of sexual harassment or feel threatened in any way. Let me make this clear. A safe and respectful society is what we expect and deserve. And no one appreciates that more than I do. I've got 2 younger sisters who are my best friends. I've grown up in a family that has taught me good values. My values and beliefs are those that we need to move forward to eradicate sexual violence and harassment across the province, across the country, everywhere. I know the court of public opinion moves fast. I've instructed my attorneys to ensure that these allegations are addressed where they should be in the court of law. In short, I reject these accusations in the strongest possible terms. It's not my values, it's not how I raised, it's not who I am.
What allegation?
Okay, so Mr. Brown, are you saying these women are liars?
Who are these women that are making allegations against you?
Wow. Brown's Game of Thrones Cersei walk of shame never fails to entertain and amuse, wouldn't you say, folks? The man who was just 5 months away from being a chauffeur-driven premier ends up fleeing Queen's Park in a salt-stained minivan as persona non grata. Poor baby. But even though Brown was gone, there was still that little matter of the Simcoe property. And what do you know, later on in 2018, after an investigation by the Provincial Integrity Commissioner, it was found that Brown failed to disclose rental income from his personal residence and also failed to disclose that he received a loan from that would-be minister, Jazz Johal. Indeed, Wake's report found that Brown used the loan to help pay for that $2.3 million waterfront property. It wasn't Aeroplan miles or money from Hooligans or a loan from family members. Nope, it was indeed Jazz Joe Hall coughing up the dough, allegedly in return for Joe Hall being appointed as the PC candidate in Brampton North. Isn't it amazing how things work in Patrick Brown's world? But then again, they don't call Patrick Brown the sneaky one for nothing, do they? So getting back to his most recent real estate monkey business, we sought answers. We sent out emails to Mayor Brown, Brown's chief of staff, that would be Babu Nagalingam, and the City of Brampton's chief administrative officer, that would be Paul Morrison. Our questions were as follows. 1, what is the name of the person behind the numbered company that bought Mayor Brown's house 60 days before the last municipal election? 2, who did the luxury upgrades to the house and how much was spent? 3, were the renovations done by the Capel family, who Mayor Brown purchased the house from, or was it the numbered company Mayor Brown sold it to? And was the sale related to any City of Brampton contracts? And 4, what is the name of the person behind the numbered company that was awarded the City of Brampton PPE contract? I understand a check for approximately $1 million was sent to that particular numbered company to a post office box in Ottawa. Is this indeed correct? And folks, here's the response we received from the Media Relations Department for the City of Brampton. Quote, in response to questions 1 to 3, the city does not comment on such matters. With regards to question 4, please file a Freedom of Information request, end quote. Oh, so much for transparency. Oh, and by the way, we will indeed file an FOI. As for Dave Capel, to this date, we have yet to receive a response from him. Our take, sneaky Patrick Brown runs Brampton as his own personal fiefdom these days. There is no longer a City of Brampton Integrity Commissioner. Brown's personal friend, Muniza Sheikh, she was recently fired. And even though we hand-delivered a dossier with all of this information to the city's CAO, Mr. Morrison, he hasn't even acknowledged receipt of our package. Enough is enough. The real estate transaction and the awarding of Brampton's uber-secretive PPE contract stinks like the proverbial dead skunk in the middle of the road. And since this increasingly dysfunctional city clearly cannot govern itself, it is now high time for law enforcement to get involved. So how about it, OPP and RCMP? Are you going to carry out your sworn duties?
What you just saw was an excerpt from my nightly show, the Ezra Levant Show. Every weekday, I do a monologue. Usually it's about half an hour. Then I interview an interesting guest, and then we read my hate mail or my fan mail, whichever is more fun. It's only available behind a paywall, though. That's how we pay our bills here at Rebel News. We don't take a dime from Justin Trudeau. But the good news is it's only $8 a month, about half the price of Netflix. And in addition to my nightly show, you also get weekly shows from 4 other friends here at Rebel News. So you're getting 36 shows a month just for $8. I think it's worth it. And even if you're not quite sure, do it anyways, because we rely on viewers like you to keep us free and independent. I promise you I'll never take a dime from Trudeau. Just go to rebelnewsplus.com and click subscribe. Thanks.